Hello and welcome back to a new video. It's been a minute again. I've been slowly trying to get back into making more content for the channel, trying to revive it a little, but today is another deck review and video. This is what I played last night at my local league, and it's slightly different to what I normally play. I've got a few other decks to make videos on, but this was slightly unique and different. Also, I love these sleeves. They match my new recent playmat, which I showed off in a short. Go check that out. And this deck we are going to be talking about today is Giratina vstar. Specifically the Lost Box version. I know there's an Arceus V version, Arceus V vstar version that's been going around. But I thought I would try this since I don't have all the Arceus pieces yet. So yeah. So this deck obviously revolves around Giratina vstar, and its power of Lost Impact doing 280, putting 2 energy cards in the Lost Zone, and Star Requiem, which can 1 KO anything in the format if you have 10 or more in the Lost Zone. Getting cards in the Lost Zone can be a little bit tricky with this deck, which is why it's not my favourite deck on the planet Earth, but it still did okay yesterday, getting me, I think I got 9th out of 16 players or participants, going 1 win, 1 draw and 2 losses. I lost to Lugia V-Star, I lost to Lugia V-Star, and I lost to a mirror match of this deck, and I drew against Chin Pao, which was a very hard match, and I won against VMAX. So how is this card good? Well, doing 280 damage, as I said, can do 1 KO pretty much anything in a format. And for this deck, we are running 3 of the V-Stars. Let's see if I can keep that here. And we also run 3 of the Vs as a free line, making it kind of balanced on everything. Because if you do 2 and 2, you have risk of just prizing 1. But this is Lost Box, and we do have potential to have other attackers, which I will show off now. So having a free line, I think, in my opinion, is best. I know some people would rather do 2-2. But to get cards in the Lost Zone, a card in this deck that's in every Lost Box deck is Comfey. Yes, I do run different artworks of all the Comfeys, but we just need the flower selecting move, which when in the active lets us put 1 card in our hand, 1 card in the Lost Zone. It can be tricky deciding on what card to put in the Lost Zone, because you got to think, if you put that in the Lost Zone now, you're not getting it back, and you will need maybe that card later on in the match. Like energies are specifically something you shouldn't Lost Zone, but I had to Lost Zone probably a few to grab, maybe like VIP passes on my turn 1 if my set wasn't good. With cards in the Lost Zone, we can use Cramorant, 1 copy of Cramorant, so 4 cards are in the Lost Zone, ignore all energy for this attack cost, doing a free 110 if you have 4 cards in the Lost Zone. A cheap attacker, did really well yesterday, and I can't complain. I know some lists run 2, but I personally would run 1. A card I didn't use that much yesterday was Sableye. 2 copies of Sableye for the Lost Mine. If you have 10 or more in the Lost Zone, you can put 12 damage counters, so 120 damage on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like, which is great because you can knock out Comfeys. If there's a mirror match, you can knock out low HP Pokemon like Ralts, for example, in Gardevoir. And it's a good attacker late game, but for early game, not so much. Draw support and attacker in this deck is Radiant Greninja, using the concealed cards, discarding the energy, and then drawing 2 more. And then Moonlight Shuriken doing 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, which is good, as I said, for low HP Pokemon, and building up damage for Sableye or even Cramorant that you can use. A Bench Helper for Manaphy, for its ability to protect the bench. Really good. I did lose one of my matches because I didn't have it on my bench. It was against Chin Pao. I didn't have it out quick enough. On to the trainer item cards. We have 4 Battle VIP passes to get the Comfeys out, get the Giratinas, maybe a Sableye and the Radiant Greninja, depends on what your setup's like. But 4 Battle VIP passes are a must go in this deck. Moving on to other staples in Lost Box. You've probably seen these all before, but If you wanted to build this list, you can copy mine straight out or go on YouTube and just search up Giratina Lost Box list. But we do also run 4 Mirage Gates. When 7 in the Lost Zone, you can search your deck up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them in any way you like. Really good for setting up your Pokemon. 7 in the Lost Zone is not too hard to get, as I will show a supporter that can help with getting cards in the Lost Zone in com phase. But it does take 2 turns to set up. I will give a review at the end. I think I'll put them on like a rating system now with these videos. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos on decks and stuff because I just personally love playing and collecting. Not as much but as I used to, but I still love it. We also run 3 copies of Escape Rope to switch between com phase because you can only use it once per turn, so preferably you would want 3 or 2 on your bench to keep putting cards in the Lost Zone. So we do run a lot of switches in this deck. Another switch item is Switch Cart. Very good for healing against other Lost Box matchups, but as I said, it's another really good switch option if you need it. We run the 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball, just grabbing something out of the prize cards, like a Comfey or a Giratina or a Radiant Greninja, especially because you can only run 1 Radiant in your deck. So only having the 1 copy is not amazing. It does get prized sometimes, but it's alright. So for against Mew and Gardevoir matchups, I personally love Cleansing Gloves because Gardevoir and Mew have 310 HP. Giratina does 280 and this gives it 30 more, so put them together, 280 plus 30 is 310. You are 1 KOing Mew, VMAX and Gardevoir with Cleansing Gloves. I personally like to run Cleansing Gloves in most of my decks, or all of my decks except for Lugia. I even run it in my Mew deck against Gardevoir because Gardevoir is very popular. It's fizzled out a little bit in my local league, but overall across the board it's the most popular deck. I've built the deck myself. I don't like it a lot, but it's still good. I'll probably make another video on it. But moving on to more trainers, we have 3 Nestball, searching out the com phase and all the other stuff basic Pokemon to put onto the bench. More search is great. A card I did like using yesterday was Super Rod. 3 copies of Super Rod, helping me put energies back into the deck with Radiant Greninja because you've got to discard energies, so putting them back into the deck from a Mirage Gate is very useful. Or the Super Rod's pretty good, having up to 3 combination of Pokemon and basic energies, so I can get back also a Pokemon like Giratina vstar and the V's. Along with more Lost Zone cards, we run 4 Color 6 Experiment. So this lets us look at our top 5 cards in our deck and put 2 in the Lost Zone, 3 in our hand. Decision making in this deck is crucial, mainly against what you're going up. So if I were going against Mew, I wouldn't want a Lost Zone Cleansing Gloves because I want to 1 KO the VMAXs. But I would Lost Zone cards like Sableye because Sableye is pretty useless in that matchup because they're all high HP Pokemon, but I did use Cram a lot yesterday against it just to get some chipping damage in. So this is very good for helping accelerate cards in the Lost Zone as well. Other random supporters, we have 1 Iono just for a bit of hand disruption. Can help sometimes, but for Lost Box you generate a lot of cards in your hand. Another 1/1 is Roxanne. Roxanne, very good for later on in the game if you're losing on prizes. Each player shuffling their hands into the deck. You draw 6, they draw 2. Very good if they don't have a very good draw supporting deck. As another staple in all decks, we have 2 copies of Boss's Orders just to sweep up something on the bench and knocking them out. For stadiums, we only run 2, and that is Path to the Peak. Really slows down players. When I played Mew yesterday, this card came in clutch because I put it down on my turn 1 and they could no longer Genesect. They couldn't keep drawing with Genesect, so this helped with stopping them getting their energies up. Well, not getting their energies up, but getting their stuff in their deck. Moving on to energies, we do run quite a high count of energies compared to normal decks, and there's a very variety of deck. So we run 5 psychic energies. Probably some of you haven't seen these types of hollows before, because these are the Pokemon Play promos. These are very cool to run the decks. There is non-hollow versions and hollow versions, depends what you get in the pack. But we run 5 psychic energies because Giratina V-Star needs 1 grass, 1 psychic, and a normal. And for its V-star power is a psychic and grass. So having 5 can also, we can use Sableye, its ability for that. As mentioned, we need grass energies. So we run 3 grass energies. It's important to keep these in your hand or in your deck and not lost zone them. Mainly because you don't have many of these. As I said, there's another hollow one. A little bit different. I suppose some of you may have seen these before, but I think these are really unique. Moving on to the second last set of energies, we run 3 water energies. The reason we run water is because we want to use Greninja, but we can also use it on Giratina V-Stars, that counter for the colorless energy we need. And that's about it, really. And final cards of the deck, a bit of a different one, with Jet Energies. Jet Energies are very good for putting Comphase up in the active and then retreating them into more Comphase, so you can keep flower selecting. But it is also good for covering the colorless requirement on Giratina V-Star. So that is the whole of this deck. And if I were to rate it out of 10, I would give it a solid 6 out of 10. Reason why it gets marked down points is because it is very slow to set up. It will take you a minimum of 2 turns to get 7 in the lost zone. And having that slow setup against other decks can be very crucial. But redeeming qualities is that you can spread damage very easily. You can hit hard against other decks. And once you do get rolling, you're pretty good. You're quite hard to deal with because having a 280 health is quite difficult to target in a 1 KO situation. But having the spread damage and high damage, but also having single prizes that can do high damage is very good as well. So that's what brings it up to a 6. Overall, I would probably play this again, maybe not, because it's not my favourite type of deck, but then that's my own personal preference, and Lost Box can continue to be very good. Thank you all for watching and listening. I hope you do enjoy these deck list videos. There's going to be more coming out soon. I hope these help, and maybe if you make these decks, let me know in the comments below and see how you get on with them. I do encourage people to go to their local leagues and tournaments. You are able to look up your local league store going on the Pokemon website and going on the Pokemon Play section, and then you can look up your local Play store. I do recommend getting into the TCG as it's very fun and you do get access to these exclusive promos. So yeah, thank you and have a great rest of your day.